right, good afternoon. Hello, everyone out there. I'm Kevin.
Richard.
Tom.
Roger.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
us.
So us.
Crew.
Same.
Same old group.
Welcome, welcome to Facebook Live. Welcome back to many of you. If you've seen this before, you know that periodically the boys all answer questions from you folks. If you haven't, welcome to your first Q&A session. We've been doing these for a couple of months. We've been doing them for insiders, and we're very happy to say that we are all Chata members.
Chata?
Shut it. We're all talking like Roger.
Card check. Regularly, we do these for folks who are becoming insiders for this old house. There are tens of thousands of you who've already joined. Thank you for that. If you haven't yet, you'll get a taste for what you're going to be in store for on a regular basis, which is essentially access to these guys and their big brains. Some heads bigger than others. Woo! It's like noggin.
It's the same. It's always the same jokes.
Sounds more shinier.
You want new ones?
Big heads, short.
Hey, I'm sensitive.
Want new ones? But for the next hour, we are going to be taking questions from you folks about anything, so just throw them up onto the Facebook clipboard there. We'll be getting them and reading them. And a couple updates that we've got for you. The first one is take a look around. We're not in the Ask Loft.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
No, we are not. This is our Newton project, which is what we're working on for next season. So this is a little bit of a sneak peek for you guys. This is on the second floor. Tommy, what's the year of this house?
1879.
1879.
Wow.
Describe this style.
It's a newbie.
A newbie.
Well, some people are calling it a square, a four square, but it really isn't a four square because there's only one bedroom on this side and one on that, and then bathrooms on the other side. So
it's a
I would
three-square.
I would just say a two square.
2 square low.
Okay, we can
Yeah.
call it a 2.5 square, but
Yeah.
it's a hip roof with a front porch off the back. Originally, there was a sun porch on the front, and there was a sun porch on the second floor that got closed in and now a room.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah?
What's that hip roof?
You don't get to ask
Yes,
questions.
I
Hip
do.
roof.
I'm an insider.
Oh, all right, good point.
He signed up.
Hip roof is where they have hips on the roof where the transition makes as it turns a corner. All right,
Thank
so
you.
this is a 4-hip roof.
Got my question
There
in.
you got your question
Because
answered.
I'm an insider.
And this place needs heat. It's May 30th and it's really cold here.
Yeah. Why didn't you wear a jacket?
So,
it's in the car, I don't know.
scope of the project in this house is, well, so we've got a young family. She actually grew up in the house, and when her mother passed just recently, it was left to her. So now this has become their starter home. They have 2 little children. One of them is just weeks old. So we're converting the house for them, and it's not a massive renovation, but it's a pretty good project.
It's not a total gut, which is nice. So we're gonna renovate this back room here. We're gonna make a master suite above an old addition that was built 30 years ago that we tore off and straightened out because the walls were too short and the floors are crooked. So we're gonna straighten it out and add on also to the left side of the house for more kitchen space, back entry space. And we're gonna reposition or take down and build a new back deck.
No, it's
And
not a regut, right?
Not,
a
well, we
total.
didn't touch a lot of the front of the house.
There's 2 pieces of plaster still here.
Tell me there's an iron beam going in, right?
No iron beam. There's an angle iron going in, but no steel beam.
Yeah. We're going to give you a lot more updates on what's going on with this season, what you're seeing this week, but we did promise you answers to questions, so we're going to get right to it. Well, not right to it, because Matt, Casey, and Ryan are doing a shout out to say hi. Hello to you guys. Thanks for joining us. The first one comes to us, first question that is, comes to us from Julie. And Julie asks, in what order should painting walls, sanding/finishing wood floors, and hanging new doors be done in? Painting, finishing floors, hanging doors.
Roger?
Well, I'd like to do them all at once, because, landscaping, wise, we bring
Yeah, you want to get the doors hung first, sand the floors last, prep and prime and paint all the walls, and then finish the floors. What I do like to do is I like to get the floors sanded, one coat, and then covered, then do the rest. Then you can tear all the covering off and give it that final coat.
Gives
So-
it a cleanup easier too? Is that,
Yeah, yeah, we'll clean up a little bit.
Paint the walls last. Paint the walls, I'm sorry, paint the walls before you finish the floors.
Yes.
Work down. Work your way out of the building.
Let me recap. Sand and finish the floors, one.
Sand and finish.
and finish in one coat,
One coat.
all right?
See what I got?
Then cover it,
All day.
then hang the doors, paint the walls.
I just was trying to get you to speak English, Pop. Sometimes I slip into Portuguese. Julie, did that help? If it didn't, take it up with these
That's
guys.
right.
Hopefully it did. All right. Anne Marie writes us, new asphalt driveway. She has a new asphalt driveway. It is cracking and plants, she has quotes around plants, which means weeds, are growing through it within the first 20 feet or so from the apron. The apron is flanked by the town-owned sycamore trees, so I'm thinking it's the tree roots. How does she rectify this? My husband and I both love this old house and asked this old house. Oh, thank you.
You may not love the answer.
Roger, so she's got asphalt driveway, she's
Yep.
got something coming up, it's in the first 20 feet and they're near the sycamore tree.
Did she say how new it is?
She says my new asphalt driveway is cracking.
That's what I thought too, Tom. I thought it had settled over time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like it. In this case, it sounds like if it's new, the roots have gotten underneath and they're just growing underneath and cracking the whole thing.
Yeah, they didn't do anything about the roots.
Didn't do any prep, I don't think,
Yeah.
underneath it, so.
Start again.
You know, you're gonna have to dig it all out and put in 8 or 10 inches of gravel and redo the driveway itself, and there's no guarantee that those roots won't come back again.
Wait, but hang on a second, Roger. If the
do you mean, hang on?
trees, I'm saying that, if the sycamore tree roots are
Yes.
causing this problem,
Yes.
they can't go in and just wipe out all those roots, can they?
No, they just re-dig at the edge of the driveway and cut all those roots that
They
are coming across
They can cut them.
on their property.
They
Is
have
that
to
good
cut
for the tree?
Yeah, they have to cut the roots under the driveway, or
Yeah.
they're only gonna continually
Can
crack.
you freeze thaw and
Yeah.
everything else, that's why you get a crack, you get a little loamy material in there, and all of a sudden weeds and trees start growing.
No, I get that, but what about the poor sycamore? You don't
Dependent
care.
on,
Hundreds.
usually you're cutting on one side of the tree, so you're injuring it, but you're not terminating it.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
and you're only going down 8 or 10 inches, and a big sycamore will usually have roots that go down much deeper than that to hold it in place.
So you're thinking that you can actually solve the root problem and not kill the tree?
Yeah, you know what I would do in this case? I'd put in a paver driveway.
There you go. That's what I was hoping for.
Because the asphalt moves and cracks,
Right.
the paver driveway can move a little bit. If it moves too much, you can just take it out, scratch down, put another piece right
Yeah,
there.
something that's not this continuous.
Yeah,
It's
that's,
gonna-
that's
it's gonna
what,
keep
that's what I
fighting.
have to
That's
do.
what I
in
was
my-
gonna say.
I do that in my house. I have a paver because of the roots. Every 5 or 6 years, I pull up a section, cut the
Yeah.
roots and then set it back
Yeah,
down.
that's the best solution to the whole thing.
Don't you have 40,000 BTUs underneath those
Yeah.
pavers as well?
Makes those weeds grow like all
I didn't
winter.
hear anybody ask a question. You're not supposed to ask questions.
I remember. I can ask questions. I got a card right here. Anne Marie, I hope that was helpful. Dan writes us, thanks for all you have done and shown throughout the years, Kevin.
It doesn't say Kevin.
I can don't read it. It does. It does. I
It doesn't.
really
It
learned
does
a
not
lot
say
from
Kevin.
you. Well, maybe it doesn't, but I inferred. Let me read it again. Thank you for all you have done and shown throughout the years. I've really learned a lot from you. Do each of you have a favorite project, either on this old house or ask this old house? Oh, that's interesting. Favorite projects. I'm gonna let these guys think about it for 1 second and let you guys know that if you've got a favorite, one of the big things about being an insider is that you've got access to all of our archives, which means you can actually go back and watch all the way back to the original This Old House projects, 1979, and the years with Bob and Steve. Plus the stuff from Ask This Old House is up there with all those questions answered. So you guys can poke around with your favorites. What's your favorite?
I think the
I just
first,
gave you 10 seconds.
I didn't think you called me first, but I think the very first one, way back when, was still the most exciting because it was like an old romance. I mean, we didn't know how long if it would be 1 year or 5 years, and then
I wasn't in that one.
you were not even alive, were you?
I wasn't even in that one. You want to reconsider?
No. And then on the ask ones, I love the ones we do when we do little things that solve a problem for somebody. Fix the squeaky floor, or the little piece of Teflon I gave to this woman to fix. She couldn't leave her house because she had to empty the bucket. She couldn't go for more than 6 hours, and we gave her about 20 cents of Teflon and fixed the leak. And it was the biggest hug we ever got. It was great. So.
What about you, Tommy? And
A
just
lo-
be sensitive to the fact that I've only been in the last. No.
Yeah.
Answer any way.
What's your
you'd like.
favorite project with Kevin?
I don't really have any
With
favorite.
Kevin.
They're all. I like them all when we're doing them. I can't go back and pick out one. I will say Manchester by the Sea
Yeah.
was probably,
2001.
in a way, my favorite, but it was probably one of the most difficult to get done because of the size of the project and the amount of time that we had to do it. And as far as ask, you gave my answer. I was going to say
Really?
squeaky floors. But
Oh, really?
That's what you usually do.
I didn't mean to. I thought, a lot of people thought squeaky floors was good.
Boys, it's on.
Oh, it's on? Is this on?
Roger, favorite?
Same as Tommy. Manchester
Squeaky
by the
floors?
Sea, Yeah, I have a picture of the old house before we got there. Remember that picture?
Oh, yeah.
Stuff going all over, and then what it looked like afterwards, and how we cleaned everything down to the ocean, and it's a special place.
Yeah.
I remember, it
Still
was
looks
also
good.
2001, we were all together on 9/11.
Yep.
And it was like, but so you remember where you are at
That's
those
the
moments?
one
Yeah.
where the guys, we raised the flag on the chimney.
Yeah.
American flag, yeah, that was,
So a lot of memories there.
Mine was Carlisle.
Carlisle.
Was 20th anniversary, and we got to do anything we wanted.
That's right.
Which was very
Yep.
cool. And we did three things, right? So we did the restoration of the little original Greek revival. We did the conversion of the barn to living space, which was phenomenal. And then
Yeah.
we did the little tear down of the L in
Yeah.
between because it was so
Right.
bad. But we did
Right.
new build, and Luke was born that year.
That was Mini-Me, when Mini-Me was born.
He was born on
Little
Carlisle.
Kevin.
Oh, yeah, on Carlisle. Yeah.
He's
Uncle-
now big.
Uncle Richard has yet to send a birthday gift. Not once. And Godfather Roger.
Nothing.
Blondes.
Anyway, if you guys got a favorite, I guarantee you can find it online because they're all out there. Archives for the insiders, something to think about. Thomas writes us, he has a plumbing problem. We are knocking in the wall. No, excuse me. We have a knocking in the wall when we
Kevin.
turn the kitchen water off. It is located in a remote wall by the toilet.
Yeah.
The knocking also occurs when the toilet water comes to a stop.
Yeah. We get these questions all the time.
Knocking.
Knocking. Water has a given velocity, and when you open up a faucet, and all of a sudden water's moving through that pipe, and then it stops. There's inertia inside that water that wants to go somewhere. Normally, a properly installed plumbing system's got proper clips and everything else to help hold it. What happens is, low bid, somebody just runs a pipe up inside the wall, it's up against this. You've got a quick acting valve, like the washing machines are the worst, dishwashers are terrible. So the best way to get it is to get to the base of it, or to the in the basement if you have one, or above it, and just attempt to clip it, to hold it, because you've got to stop this sort of energy that's inside the pipe that bangs all the time. It seems like every question I get is some noise, expansion noise or banging noise. So I'm like the pipe whisperer. Speaking of noise, do you know we're on a construction site?
This is not water hammer?
This is water hammer to a point. Yeah, you could.
Do you usually have an arrestor thing?
Well, the arrestor is for an extreme case for the quick acting valve, and we've shown that before. Some sort of diaphragm style expansion tank that can sit up underneath the toilet. Oftentimes, you don't need to go to that level, though. If you anchored the pipe correctly, you can hold that inertia, it doesn't move. The challenge is when it's just left to bang around and move around.
the chattering of the water. What's the problem when someone turns a faucet on and they get a little bit of chattering and then it stops
It's usually a worn washer.
in the faucet?
The biggest culprit is inside the toilet tank itself.
Well, this would be a kitchen faucet.
Yeah, but he's saying that happens
I
with
know,
this
but I'm
toilet.
asking you a different question.
Is that at your house?
Yeah.
You're not an insider.
Are you paying
You're not an insider. Sorry.
Are you paying
This is
attention?
Tom.
have one of these.
Tom has. Oh wait, is this you? This is you.
got a
It's,
card?
Ask
it's
questions.
Thomas that sent this question in.
Answer the
Can you answer the question?
I'm not talking. Talk to the hand.
If you don't answer the question, we never get to the end.
Usually it's a worn washer.
That's all I need to know.
So a worn washer, so like a reed, vibrating. It just as it gets close to closing, it just goes, and so you need to.
All right, listen, we got 200 plus, almost 300 questions in the queue already.
Really. So talk faster.
So let's-
And no more from
Thomas, I
Tom.
hope that helps. We've done those two solutions. I can remember both the arrestor and the clipping of the pipes on Ask This Old House. You
Yeah.
can find those in the archives as
Yeah.
an insider. So there are two questions coming from Renee and Tim, and they both have a question about fixing enclosed stairways. Renee, we have enclosed stairs and the treads are coming apart. The treads are built into the wall. What do we do? I love the questions that end with, what do we do? That's just the flag.
Move.
That's just like they've raised. Tim has an enclosed stairway that makes loud creaks, pops, and groans when using it. Is there any way to fix this issue without tearing out the drywall below the staircase or the walls enclosing it? Mr. Silva.
So try explaining that without using your hands.
The squeaky stairs can be fixed with driving nails at an angle to form a V through the stringer, into the stringer, either on the riser or on the tread. Or you can use a screw that will snap itself off just below the surface into the stringer. Again, it has to go.
So explain that problem though. So you've got either the
tread.
tread or the riser that are attached to the structure underneath.
And every time you go up the stair stringer could move ever so slightly. Over time, the nail would work its way up, get loose. Once it's loose, you're done. So you've got to put another nail in, and usually on an angle like that, into the stringer.
From behind?
From front to back. So
Front through the face, okay.
If the stringer, the riser, and the step is here, if you can get the nail to go into the stringer on an angle this way and this way, it will actually pull itself down, and the V of the nail won't allow the step to pull up.
Yeah.
Same thing on the stringer. You could actually use a nail. Just don't go in straight, go on an angle, or you can use trim screws.
Why wouldn't screws be better? Like screws have the ability to pull it tight.
Screws will hold better in most situations.
I think a bigger hole to fill though.
Yeah,
You do have a bigger
Yeah.
hole. So you can use a
that-
finish screw.
yeah.
But they have a screw that's called a squeak no more screw, where it will actually drive itself in and snap the head off just about an
I
eighth
love
of
that
an
thing.
inch below the
Love
surface.
that name.
And then you can, it's actually a screw with an opposing thread. The first thread is a right hand, this is a left hand, and there's a smooth spot on the shank. So when it gets down, the screw pulls the wood to the structure, and that naturally what will happen is the wood wants to pull away. When the screw hits the reverse thread, it now pushes it down against the wood, and all that torque
Snaps it
causes
up.
the head to snap off.
And so Renee has a different situation where the treads are coming apart, and the treads are actually built into the wall, or in this case, maybe the skirt or one of them. Either way, they die into a hard place to get to.
Well, it could be because the steps and the riser are butted up against the skirt board or the trim that runs up the side, and they shouldn't actually be butted. They should be either dadoed in or rabbited dadoed in, and that's why the old Yankees would also do what is called a dado or a rabbited dado, which would allow the tread to go into the skirt and into the riser. And because as the wood expands and contracts this way, and the step expands and contracts this way, with different conditions, it can slide in and out of the riser and slide in and out of the skirt.
But either way, though, she's got these things coming apart. How does she excavate those out of there? Does she try to fix them in place?
It's hard to say without really seeing it, because there's so many different solutions. I mean, if you can get to the other side of the wall and drive a screw through
And
it
pull
into the tread,
And pull it.
you're going to do it. But sometimes you could actually drive a screw down into the stair, into the tread, into the skirt board. But lots of times that's cut on a sawtooth, so the screw would just bypass it. You really got to try to get in this way, and that means going on the other side of the wall. A lot of work and a lot of.
All right. Well, Renee, I hope that helps. Tim, I hope that helps.
Can you cue a couple more compressors?
Hey, we're on the job site.
What?
Job site.
I know.
Job site.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
All right, Roger, we got one from you. This comes to us from Judy. They need a windbreak for their vegetable garden. Should they use a fence or plant some upright shrubs? The wind comes from north, and when it storms, their plants get blown over.
Nice and quiet in here, isn't it? Well, first of all, if you put up a fence or even shrubs, you could create shade and then the garden wouldn't grow so well. So what about staking individual plants? I'm assuming if they're falling over, they're like tomato plants. You could drive either a wooden rod or a piece of steel re-rod down in the ground,
Yeah.
tie it off to
Tie it
that.
off. Good idea.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to create a windscreen, just secure the plants
Yeah, because the
themselves.
windscreen comes up and blocks the wind, but it's gonna block the sunlight some too. In a garden, we want full sunlight.
So the wind's coming from the north,
Yeah.
right, which is the shadiest side, which is pretty good. She did want to go with something upright to protect it, right? Let's say she says, I want to go with a screen.
Yep.
You prefer fence versus
Yeah.
shrubs? You think?
I would do the fence because then I would grow something on the fence itself. You know, morning glories or peas or something like that.
And that would stick up to the wind.
Yeah.
All right, Judy, there you go. Roger says
Short and
stake
sweet.
'em.
You like that one? Short
Yeah,
and sweet.
right, but he get lost. Anyway.
What is it?
If you guys are insiders, you know you get this all of the time. If you are not, you should know that this is Facebook for everybody right now, but the next ones that we're going to be doing, there's one on June 9th with Roger and myself, there's one on June 24th with Tommy and myself, and then there's more coming after that. Those are for insiders only. You need to be part of that. And when you are, you'll get the shirt right off of Mississauga's back.
Right,
You got anything on underneath there?
yeah.
No. That was it.
Silva Brothers T-shirt, the same one worn by the actual guys. Gonna make all the noise
Yeah.
behind us for insider members. So give that some thought. You can go to the website thistlhouse.com/learn is where you're gonna get all the information on signing up, how you get involved. All right, back to the questions because now there's like 350 backed up here. John writes us, is it best to get a tankless hot water heater if I have hard water? Oh, that's interesting. Explain hard water.
Hard water, high mineral content, lime, calcium, magnesium.
And it feels like what? What happens
It
inside?
doesn't, you know a little bit about it, we've been doing this. I'm
He's
just,
trying to help you.
I know.
That's what he does.
Hard water, you'll know you have hard water if you see lime and scale on the fixtures, but also if it takes a lot to get soap suds and to feel clean really with, even though you are clean.
Now explain a
Lime.
tankless.
Tankless. All right,
See?
this is a tankless job, I'm telling you, working with him.
See who's in charge?
So, all right,
Go.
so,
Just stack it up.
Kevin,
Just stack it up like my plate.
a lot of people have a water heater that stands on the floor and it has water in it and it's called a
Tank type.
tank. And so if you have lime or scale, what happens is it's a perfect place for it to settle out. Every time you heat it up, it wants to fall to the bottom of the water heater. So a instantaneous water heater is made out of stainless steel and copper. And the water moves through it with extraordinary velocity. So it'll still try to adhere to the inside of the materials, but the velocity moving through it to the greatest extent will actually keep it clean. It'll flush it. Now there are some fine parts in it. There's little diaphragms and little needle valves that could become clogged, and those are service parts, but it will last you longer than a tank type water heater, and it'll give you all the other benefits, which is you use no gas when you're not running hot water. So all the things we've talked about before. Most of the rest of the planet uses either an instantaneous water heater or a tank that works off of a boiler. Only in America do we have that tank type water heater with the burner underneath on and off all day long on the off chance that we might use some hot water. So thank you.
Should not be an issue whether they have hard or soft water. Should not be a consideration.
It's less of an issue. You cannot say that hard water is tricky because it's got stuff in it that wants to stick to anywhere it can. And so actually we just did an Ask segment, was pretty interesting, that they've always used water softens where you add brine and you positively charge it to try and sort of hang on to the lime and calcium, but then it means salt is going into the sewage treatment plant and in the water you drink. This was using citric acid, the same stuff you'd taste on kids' candies, and it would coat the lime or scale and just make it pass right through. So it would keep, and what it is, once you do it, it actually cleans the fixtures, you know.
So it's like lubricating?
It encapsulates it. Instead of trying to pull it out, it encapsulates it. Because
Oh, I see.
lime or
Yeah.
calcium is not damaging to anybody, it's just a cosmetic issue.
Right,
So,
right.
so we love seeing these new technologies. We try to show them as much as we can.
There you go. All right, John. So Marty writes us, moving on, how can I bond back the skim coat of plaster on my 100-year-old house? It's interesting.
Big Wally.
Big wallet.
Big wallet. I thought that was a much
said-
deep. I thought there was a
said-
much deeper
I
answer.
said Big Wally.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I
Big
thought-
Wally.
We all heard.
Oh,
We all heard. There was
Now that I
something.
said Big Wally, it's a whole different ballgame.
That's right. So what's Big Wally?
Big Wally is a way to reattach plaster back to the lathe by, first of all, drilling a series of holes about 1/8 of an inch in diameter and injecting an acrylic epoxy into the plaster that's separated behind the lathe, the big plastic washers. You inject it into around each side of the crack and on the wall, once you've drilled all your holes, only through the plaster, not through the lathe. And the caulking gun allows you to, you take the tip of the caulking gun up against the hole, you just inject it. There's a primer that you have to put in there first. Push a little bit of caulking in there, and then you take the big plastic washers and screw them all over the wall. 24 hours later, you take the plastic washers off, and it's attached and good as new.
See you later, Wally Gator.
Look at that. And that's the actual name of the product. Big Wally.
It's not Big Wallet.
We've used that.
I like that other name better.
Didn't Wally come and do it for us?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on the show several times for several projects.
Is-
He
The
is a-
inventor
he's
is.
an
Oh,
art-
yeah.
Yeah, he
Right.
is an artist when it comes to
Yeah, yeah.
plaster restoration.
yeah.
Yeah.
We did something with him in Malcolm's house most recently, and then I think a ton of times before that.
We've
but-
done him about a half a dozen times where he's reattached plaster, we have big cracks, it actually reattaches the plaster. And
Was
it's
it-
better than the rest of the
Did he
plaster.
do a medallion or something?
Yeah.
He's
Malcolm's
made
medallion.
medallions, he does all kinds
Yeah,
of
I
stuff.
remember that.
So I have a memory of that you can elaborate on.
Is this related to the?
Yes, it is.
okay.
Yes, it is.
Because sometimes
Well, it was third grade. Mine was third grade.
We've got to get all over again.
So-
It's like, oh.
Tommy was going to reattach a Skimco plaster in the house in Brookline, if you remember. And I was doing another ask thing, and it was 100 degrees and 100% humidity. And what didn't happen? Tell the nice folks what didn't happen.
Nothing set
It
up,
never dried.
it never dried.
Never dried.
It was unbelievable. So
I've never seen
I
it.
had to go back a week later when the temperature was.
It was
and set
unbelievable.
all up. I'm glad you gave that away.
Sorry, but that,
Yeah, really, throw him under the bus.
All right, Marty.
why is that under the bus?
It looked good.
It was
It looked
unbelievable.
great.
I hope
It came
it
out great.
helps. Jacqueline writes, for the Detroit house remodel, did you all live out in Michigan for the duration or fly back and forth? Was it challenging being so far from New England?
Kevin, why don't you talk about travel? How would you like it?
No, we come and go. We fly out for 3 days, 4 days, Monday to Thursday, Tuesday to Friday, something like that. Then we come back, because we've got 2 projects going on.
Right. Usually every other week.
We
Yeah.
were doing Detroit. What were we doing? What was our other
Detroit and
Two in Detroit.
No, but back here. What was our little?
Oh, the one in Arlington.
Arlington,
Yeah.
thank you. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we've got one here locally in our backyard.
Yeah.
We've got one on the road. When we were in Detroit, it was back and forth from there to here. And we probably every other week, every 2 weeks, go out to Detroit.
And the travel's not going to stop because we've got here and we've got Charleston. We're going to Charleston
For the next season. Tell
for
them
the
about
next
that.
season. So it's really pretty cool. Great city. We'll come and go much like we did in Detroit. We'll be there probably every couple of weeks until Christmas. And it's that classic Charleston single, they call it, where it's a long, narrow house. It's a tight little area. You know, every lot is really long and narrow. And
2.5 stories.
2.5 stories. So we'll do a great. It's
Very
what's
nice.
great.
One room on
Nice
each,
and cool down there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to be there in August. Can't wait.
on each floor, there's one room on
I
each
sweat on a
side
day
of the
like
central
today.
stairway.
Yeah.
pretty cool.
The hardest part about working in a place like Detroit or Charleston or whatever is that we've got to put this operation in the hands of local contractors, right? So imagine
Yeah.
we've got Mr. Silva and these boys here working on a project. We know everybody, they've been doing it forever, and then we show up in Charleston or Detroit and we say, hey, you know, you're going to be our general contractor or our homeowner's in charge. And all of a sudden, they've got the keys to the car. And that's risky.
And knock
But
wood though,
we've always
we've had
had-
great
Yeah, that's
luck.
great,
And in
great
Detroit,
homeowners.
we didn't even have a general contractor.
Yeah.
We ended up being the homeowner.
And the people who walked in off
And
the
people
street,
who walked in off the street.
Yeah, a lot of volunteers.
that was
So-
great.
I love the Detroit project. I was glad we did it.
That was all. That may become
was
one of
great.
my favorite. That was something else. Anyway, all right, Jacqueline. Thank you for the question. David writes: whenever I cut molding for corners, like quarter round or chair rail, I never get the measurements right.
So I cut them again.
I usually give myself a little extra, then I trim it down, but no matter how many times I measure, I always end up with a piece that is slightly too short when I finally fit it into place. Is there a trick to getting this right? There is, and his name is Tommy. I'm going to write his number down here and send it to you, David. You can give him a call.
Put his cell phone
House
up.
call.
You
Right?
can,
This is the standard thing. You do the trim, you cut it long, you shave it down, you're just gonna nibble at it, creep up on it, and then eventually you just cut one too many times. And now
if you're
it's-
trying to fit a molding or something in between two walls, 2 points, and let's say the wall is 10 feet from point to point, you take 2 pieces of wood, let's say 1 by 1, 2 pieces of 1 by 1, and they're 6 feet long or 7 feet long. You take the 2 pieces, slide them up against the ceiling or up against the floor, wherever you're trying to get them, take them and slide them out so they now fit between the walls, and put a pencil line right across both pieces. Now, when you take the pieces down onto the table and you put them down, you line up the line, measure from
Guaranteed
point A
it.
to point B, and you'll have the exact measurement for the wall. Now, when cutting molding, it's always better to make it a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch longer. Make your cut, and then put the 2 ends in, pull the molding out a little bit so it has a little bow,
Yeah.
and then force it in, you'll get nice tight
Yeah.
joints.
So you do want to force it in, right? You
Just
have
a
to put
little.
bow, almost like a bow and arrow.
Yeah, you don't wanna force it in enough so it depresses the molding into the plaster on each side.
Good for you, David, for trying yourself though. Keep at it, right? You gotta figure it out. Nathan writes us, do you ever plan to be in Hawaii? Look at that. Is that really, did someone really write that in? Look at that.
Really?
That's like
We
a
were
song.
just there.
Yeah,
Why?
tell
Were
them
you-
about Hawaii.
You weren't there, right?
Well, we gotta rub it in.
We were just there. We took Ask to
So there
our.
were two trips. I'll
Sorry,
answer.
sorry.
There were two trips,
yeah.
right? It was February.
Yes.
And they said, Kevin, you can go to Hawaii or you could go to northern Minnesota.
He did, actually. He's actually telling the truth.
Where would you go?
He went to Warwood, Minnesota.
Where would you go?
Right.
I thought we were all gonna go to
Yeah,
Minnesota. So
yeah.
yeah, let's go to Minnesota. It sounds pretty cool.
He,
Hockey
s-
season.
he sent us a popsicle from there.
80% of Canadians live south of War Road. So I went and worked, and these guys went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
The beaches are beautiful.
Uh,
Yeah.
Got a problem
I'm just
with that?
kidding.
Worked out good. I had a
Season
good time.
finale for Ask This Old House coming up
Right.
this week, boys.
Yeah, that's
We got
right.
Season finale, and
All
they
50
will.
And it was our 50th.
50 states.
Our 50th state. So it started as this, you know, you don't even think about how many states you're going to, and then you go, hey, wait a minute, we got 28. Oh, wait a minute, we got 35. So then it's like, okay, what's left? And then you realize that there is Idaho, and there is those flyover states.
We just lost 40.
Sorry.
40
I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that
people
way.
just fell
No.
off the list. So what are they going to
So-
see this week on the finale of the season of Ask in Hawaii? What are the projects you are going to build?
I built a box, a little keepsake box, jewelry box out of local lumber, and I'm gonna show you an interesting way how to put a finish on with glue.
Ooh, interesting. And you?
Solar, but a new wrinkle to solar in that Hawaii is this perfect sort of test laboratory where everybody's got solar. So everybody has solar and they collect the sun's energy all day long and they send the electricity back through the wires to the utility. Then everybody at night says, okay, give me back the electricity I just gave you. The utilities are not making any money. They're going out of business. So they're literally saying, from now on, any new house in Hawaii has to be able to store the energy they make. They're not going to allow you to send it back. So it's a whole new wrinkle on solar and electricity.
Battery backup.
That's right. So we show these cool modular batteries.
Built a great vegetable garden with a whole bunch of people who come from an organic farm out there. And then we had a big meat.
Nice
Remember you
cookout.
had the
Yeah.
cookout we had, and everyone came, neighbors,
right.
everyone, and everyone brought something to eat. It was spectacular.
We ate poi.
Boy, that was a
Poi.
Food was good.
I went ice fishing in War. Anyway,
I had shark-
Do you want to mention travel again? Anything about travel?
season finale of Ask, the season finale of our Detroit project on House coming up this week. You'll see it Thursdays in most markets, but then all through the weekend as well. Check it out. Roger, Teresa wants to know, what are some signs of having grubs in your lawn? It's grub season,
It
baby.
is grub season.
I just saw some this weekend. We
Did
dug
you?
some up. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was
Did
in
you,
New York.
did you have the
High
dead
protein.
patches?
Yeah.
Good protein.
And the birds.
Yep, you get a patch that all of a sudden goes dead, you get birds digging at it, you have raccoons. come in and dig it all up. I've actually had them roll it up. But if you go out and you have a patch that's brown and some green and lift up next to the green, it'll just peel. The roots are all gone off it.
Those
And
are grubs.
unfortunately, the only way to treat it is with a chemical.
So the grub is the larva
Oh
of
yeah, they're only
Little white
maybe,
things.
yeah, little white. They curl like
yeah,
a seed.
Japanese beetle larvae?
Most
Is it?
of them, yes.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll see them, as soon as you dig down, you'll see them
You'll see
everywhere if
them.
you've got them.
Yep.
And you'll see tons of birds going after them.
Yep, and then this time of year, they're working their way up in the soil, they're gonna hatch, turn into a Japanese beetle, come back down, lay more eggs, and then it's gonna come out and do it all over again.
And you just gotta kill them, you gotta poison them, right? You gotta.
It is the key is that they're only gonna be on the southeast side of the house because they love it hot. They love a lawn that's more gravelly than loamy, and they don't like it shady. So the good news is you just gotta treat that one area. But you have to treat it repeatedly because they just keep coming back and coming back. And just when you think you got them beat, they come back again.
And they beat you.
You know what else I learned when we were doing the grub thing this weekend? We were looking at it. We had ants. And ants can be a sign that you've got grubs. Not just grubs, but ants love insects.
Yep.
And they love an unhealthy lawn. So they go in there, and sometimes the first
Get
thing
a
you
little
see
mound
are
of
you get
them.
little mounds, ants everywhere, and you're like, why are the ants there? Because the grubs are there as well.
They're eating the grubs.
You know just enough about everything.
Scary,
Just enough.
isn't it?
War Road, Minnesota is so far north that 80% of Canadians live south of War Road, Minnesota. And in February, it is 72 degrees colder than it is on the coldest day in Hawaii,
Thank you.
I think.
Okay, we're back.
All right, now there's 650 questions. All right, Ginny writes, Teresa, I hope that helps. Kill the grubs. Ginny, I need a heating, oh no, Ginny writes, I need a heating cooling system for my 1909 house. I'm planning on 2 zones because my home is almost 4,000 square feet. I'm in Southern Virginia and I'm trying to find the most economical but durable system with ease of installation. Also, my wall insulation is good, but my attic eaves are bare. If I insulate just the floor of my attic, would that be enough? Whoo! Lot to unpack.
Let's work from the back.
Why don't we work from the back?
So insulate the hat of your house to the grandest level you can. And I want to add to that if I had my druthers, I wouldn't insulate right here at the second floor ceiling. If I'm going to put the HVAC equipment in the attic, I'd put it here. Otherwise, all the HVAC equipment works 10 times harder. It's sitting in the most hellacious place on earth, a hot attic above. So insulate. You can't insulate too much, in my opinion. You got to ventilate, obviously, and we'll talk about that. But insulate like crazy. And then if you're talking about, that's almost a mutually exclusive thing. What's the best and what's the cheapest? The most popular by far, if you've got a wide open attic, would be to go conventional ductwork, 1 air handler or furnace in the attic for the second floor, 1 in the basement if you have one for the first floor feeding up. But there's other products now that are come into the game, the split units that we talk about all the time. It reads like the who's who of Japanese manufacturing, Hitachi, Sanyo, LG. Those are both ducted and ductless, and you can put multiple zones through it, and they're pretty cost effective. And then we've also shown that small duct. We have little 2-inch holes, but you got choices. First cost, if you're only first cost, you can find somebody to do ducted systems. They also don't overlook zoning. Zoning is little done in this country, but it works beautifully, done well. There's only 3 to 5% of American houses that have hot air that use a zone damper. Yet, in our cars, we've got 4 zones in our cars, and we've got often just 1 thermostat in the house. So
And she's going to do 2 zones, I
Yeah.
presume, first floor, second floor.
Right.
But you're saying push the zoning even
you
further.
could.
Maybe
gotta-
you have a zone in the master bedroom.
The zoning gets a little tricky if you've got an inside furnace that has enough air going in cooling is what I want to say. If you have half the air that you normally have going out of the system because 1 zone is closed, there's worry that you could freeze the coil inside of it. So the best way to do zoning with air conditioning would be to have, here's my outdoor condenser. It's called a 2-stage condenser. It says, if only one zone is open, I'll bring on stage one. If they're both on, I'll bring on both. And then it's sort of matching the load, and that's easily done nowadays. These equipment is so efficient and smart now.
Insulation is
I
definitely
know.
the key, but air sealing is another big deal. You want to air seal all the little cracks, and you also want to make sure when you insulate, you're going to be very careful of the type of insulation that you use, and you also want to be aware of a vapor retarder or a vapor barrier. You don't want that on the warm side of the building.
All right, Ginny, I hope that helps. A lot of information in the head of these gentlemen right here. Information that you guys can get regular access to as an insider. We're doing this one today for everybody, but coming up in June, we've got 2 dates, the 9th and the 24th. You'll have access to Roger, and then to Tommy, and then after that to Richard. Those are for insiders only, and the questions will keep getting answered. You'll also have access to the archival video for This Old House and Ask This Old House, the archival articles for the magazine. A lot of things come with that membership card, including the shirt off of Mr. Silver's back.
Yeah.
You see these things? These things are popping up everywhere. Guy from New Zealand sent us a picture. I saw one this weekend on social media. The guy was building his deck and he put his shirt on just to channel Tommy.
Yeah.
You probably, John, I remember his name was John, you probably didn't get yipped at and chipped at by Mr. Silva all weekend long if you were there, but it's good to have
he
him there in
talking?
spirit.
If anybody's getting
talking?
yipped or chipped
Is he
at, there's a
talking?
reason for it.
Yeah. Is he talking?
thisoldhouse.com/learn is how you find out all the information about becoming an insider and getting access to all of that great material. Well, the question, now we're up to 7:50. We're going the wrong direction here. All right.
Talk fast!
Michael writes, I want to add a door surround. Is there a rule of thumb for the ratio between the pilasters and
Pilasters. Go ahead.
pilasters and crosshead? I was thinking 8-inch pilasters and a 12-inch crosshead. Question
You
mark.
got to explain what those are.
That'd be a header. And the pilaster is like a post. If you take one side of the post off and you punch it up against the wall, so a column that stands independent and a pilaster stands up against the wall. So whether it's round or square, just the section, if you marry it into the wall, it now becomes a pilaster. And as far as the header, it depends on if it's a structural header. The beam would have to be bearing, but the detail of the header would be, you have to think about the details of the existing molding in the house. You don't want to overpower the opening, and you don't want it to make it look too heavy, but you also don't want it to make it look too skinny. So it's really a scale visually. If it's wrong, you'll really know. But
Have you ever heard this term crosshead before?
he's calling it, it's a header. It's the piece that goes from
The head casing.
pilaster to pilaster, yeah. And it's usually the detail that you have in the room for your side casings. Then you can magnify it slightly on the header, and lots of times they'll put a crown detail over it to dress it up a little bit. But you want to make sure that the side casing detail is the same size underneath the added crown molding, for example, and sometimes a crown or a dental piece underneath it to really celebrate it.
I love that. You'll know it when you do it wrong.
You definitely
You'll know it when you do it wrong.
You see it. Money's in
That
the
was my
detail.
father's advice
That's
to
right.
his girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right. You'll know it's the wrong one.
How do I know if it's the right one? You know it's the wrong one. Okay, thanks, Dad. What was your question?
Nothing?
None? Oh, I thought that was a question. I don't get, I'm not sure. 8-inch pilaster, 12-inch crosshead. So is he talking an 8-inch wide pilaster? Are you talking all the way up as opposed to just down on the base?
He's talking, a-
And a 12-inch head casing?
yeah, it could be that big. I mean, so if you got 8 inches pilaster, you got to think about the detail that you're going to use for that crown molding. So it's not, was he talking about it 12 inches
This-
down from the?
This is a door surround, right? So
Yeah,
he's talking about
it's-
having a case out a door opening.
Basically, the pilaster would be like a room separation. So you'd have a pilaster, a post, and a pilaster, and a little cabinet underneath. Like, for example, the one in Belmont. We divided the space up like that. There were 2 pilasters and 2 columns, and then the head casing went across, and that ties them all together. And that's probably 8 to 12 inches high, sure.
But he's talking about a door surround.
Door surrounding would be the same thing.
Okay. Michael, Hope that helps. Moving on, Paul. I just purchased a 5-year-old house with a poured concrete basement. The previous owner had the basement walls covered with spray-on insulation. I want to stud in and drywall the basement, but how do I deal with all of that irregularity, the surface sprayed on insulation? Thanks in advance for answering.
You have to build the walls inbound of the insulation. So you have to find out the furthest point in and take it from a center wall, measure back and measure in different parts of the room so you have the smallest measurement, and that tells you where you want to place the wall parallel. And then just build it, stud it, and then you can actually add more insulation, but you'd want to use something like a mineral wool or a rigid foam. And
So
that would give you a straight wall.
we're not touching any of the existing insulation. We're going to be inbound of the whole thing. You're going to go right to the concrete floor, so PT,
And then
cell-
concrete floor, you gotta separate the wood from the concrete. So you either take a strip of self-sealing membrane, a strip of rubber or something, and you place it underneath conventional lumber before you lay it on the concrete, or you use a piece of pressure treated and then build your conventional studs on top of that. The other way around is you could frame the whole wall with metal studs, and they could be 2x3s because they're not structural, or they could be a lightweight of 2x4s. Again, you want to make sure you separate whatever you're putting on the concrete, so whether it's wood or metal, unless it's pressure treated, with some type of a self-sealing membrane, Vicor tape, anything like that.
This is a basement, right? So any issues with moisture coming through the foundation?
If they spray foamed the foundation, my gut feeling is that they spray foamed it with closed cell, and closed cell is waterproof,
Yeah.
and it's a vapor retardant.
Yeah, we hope.
If it's open cell, then they probably put more on, and that's a thermal break, and there's less chance of moisture collecting. Just don't put fiberglass in that wall cabinet.
All right, there you go, Paul. Answer from Mr. Silva. Chris makes a comment, not a question. His comment is, I noticed Tom gets a lot of heart emojis when he's speaking.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all
that's
it
from
says.
us. We all send them to him.
What is that?
part
What is
of it.
that? What does that mean?
It's part of his contract.
I noticed Tom gets a lot of heart emoji when he's speaking.
Well, look at him.
Look at him.
He's so cute.
You'd emoji him.
What does that mean? I don't get it.
You
Like,
don't-
on the screen, like the people are
Oh, yeah, on the side. Yeah.
people putting
yeah.
up heart emojis?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't get it.
You get little devils.
He is adorable.
He is adorable. Look at him.
Adorable. Everyone loves Yoda.
Yoda. That should be the emoji. Send your Yoda emojis to Tom.
Smart.
You wonder why I am the way I am?
Pain in the butt he is. Ginny writes, well, I'm going to ask this question, then we're going to come back to it, so you guys have a chance to think of it, and then skip to the next one. Ginny writes, your house is on fire, and you can only save one tool. Which one for each of you? Give it a minute, think about it as we move on to another question, bringing our number down to 897 unanswered questions. Where do you think the popularity of solar and radiant floor heating is going?
I'll start with radiant. There is no better way to heat the human body, so there's no more comfortable way to do it. It belongs still to this day, it belongs in every kitchen space, any vaulted big room that you're in, any bathroom of note that's got tile or marble or stone material, can't beat it. It uses low temperature water, it saves energy. It's as good as you can get. Tommy's a bigger advocate even than I am. You know, it's just, it's brilliant. So I don't see that ending.
You love it. You love it. That's
Absolutely.
clear. But where do you think
Well,
the trend
radiant, yeah,
is?
radiant,
Because it's expensive.
correct. It's more money and we're seeing,
But it's a smart investment,
yeah,
because you'll heat your house for less money and you'll be more comfortable forever.
That's right.
Once you make that investment.
Correct.
If you cut corners and
Right.
heat it the
Right.
cheap way, get the
Right.
cheapest
Right.
heat system that you can, you've saved a ton of
Yeah.
money up front, you'll pay for that forever.
Right.
And the money that you save in the long run, it's just
I've
amazing.
always said to people, I'd rather see you wince in pain one time and then thank me every single winter for the rest of your life. It's worth it to me, and it's held true. So having said that, hot water systems are starting to wane away a little bit, and I'm sad about that because there's these new types of systems that are these really efficient heat pumps and geothermal and stuff like that. They're air-based, And so we're seeing some, but still, we want to remind people that it's worth the fight to get it in the cocoon spaces where you reside, where you live your life, that place you watch TV, the place you come down for coffee and everything else. As far as solar, it still drives me crazy that every house in America doesn't have 2 panels on it to make hot water for faucets. It doesn't matter where you are in the country, the sun's up enough to give you 65 to 70% of your hot water production, oftentimes 100%. And the tax credits were pulled away, nobody's paid attention. We only spend $100 a month for hot water, or only this, and yet, so we've fallen out of favor. The people that are selling solar in a big way are the people selling solar for electricity, because it's an easy sell. It's put it up there, you don't have to worry about it getting too hot. The problem is with solar, the paradox is you get too much sun when you don't need it. So in the winter, when you'd love to use it for heating, there's not enough sun to do it, so you can only use it for domestic hot water.
Where's the trend, though? Where is the trend? You've
Well,
explained
I think solar thermal is maddening to me, that the trend continues to be flat and down. I mean, we couldn't keep solar thermal in stock in 2008. We didn't have enough for the demand when that was back when a gallon of oil was $4.50 here in the New England market. It's now $2.60 to whatever. So when the economy was, when the market for fuel was really high, solar made every bit of sense. I think we've gotten complacent a little bit again too. Times are good, and so it's we'll just make more money.
What do you think of that whole house battery? Is that going to be?
But it's. I don't know if it's going to be for the solution for everywhere. Batteries are still batteries. Batteries, how long do they last? As a boater, you live with fighting battery. They don't last long enough. So I don't know. I don't want to say it's not a great idea. In my dreamland, it would be every house has a way to collect energy and store it in a super-insulated thermos bottle down in the basement, a BTU battery. And the same thing would be for the electricity. We'd come down and have another battery bank and literally have enough stored that you could then, in the off cycle, go the other way. And so we haven't seen enough people pay attention to that. But that's really, if we get the houses tight enough, and then it makes
You
everybody.
face them in the right direction, you
yeah.
get the solar gain, you have black surfaces
Right.
that are masses that can collect the sun as
Right.
it's coming in.
Right.
And that mass that's been a solar gain, just a natural release at night. You heat your house till 10, 11 o'clock at night
Right.
from that mass
That's
in the
right.
ground. If the house is correctly positioned, if the overhang is the right size and the windows are the right windows, there's a lot of things that work
Combination of things,
correctly.
right?
Right.
Combination of a number of.
Absolutely.
In the post-war era, when development was king, we had to build these
Ranch houses.
suburban sprawl. We forgot everything the prairie architects understood, which was site the house to the south, have the overhang for shade, have proper plantings around in different seasons, and we completely forgot it. And we only thought about which way you wanted Magnolia Drive to go, and which way the house went,
A large overhang
yeah.
and the right windows, and
So,
the house situated right, gives you shade in the summer, and the sun is lower, and solar gain in the
right,
winter.
yeah.
And if you position it right, all that glass is working to your benefit.
We did get rid of cholera and tuberculosis.
Thank
though.
goodness. Thank goodness.
Those prairie people
That's right.
will go
Remember,
back to
Tommy,
it.
when we were on your
Richard
front
and I
chair?
do not agree on this one, so I'm just gonna weigh it.
What's that? What?
Solar is 1% of the market, and it ain't going anywhere higher until it's cost effective, looks good, and they figure out storage.
Right.
You can fight it all day long and talk about it all day long, but if it doesn't look good, and she won't put it on the roof, and if you can't store it, it's
Right,
not going anywhere.
right.
So they solve storage, they make it look good, it'll go
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
Until that happens, it's gonna be a little tiny sliver
that's right.
for you and your countertop.
That's
for your
right.
butt end. What's he doing? What's going on? What's going on? House is on fire. You can only grab one tool. What's it gonna be?
Adjustable wrench.
What? It's a landscaper, and he's grabbing a wrench.
All right, duct tape.
House is on fire. You can only grab one tool. What's it gonna be?
I'm not grabbing a tool. Nothing's worth it.
Wow.
Taking my family, getting out.
That wasn't a question.
Sorry,
though.
sorry.
Tommy?
There's no tool you can't buy.
I'd go for the hose.
Yeah, that's right. The best.
Oh man. Okay.
Like
Let's see.
perfect.
Gary writes, what is the best way to get bugs to stop eating my vegetables in the garden? He's already losing peppers. The peppers, Roger.
Peppers.
Peppers,
This is a tough call because you
Bugs,
want
right? You don't wanna-
you want peppers that glow in the dark. Not really. So you have to find an organic application.
Are there any?
Golden
Yeah,
peppers.
there are on the market. You go and check them out. The other thing you can do is manually. It's kind of fun to go in and just pick the bugs off.
So I did that when I was a kid. Every
Yeah.
weekend, my mother would give us a,
That's why he
A
grabs the
jar.
wrench, so
Yeah.
he can beat the aphids to death.
There's so many of these bugs that are visible to the site. You just go in and spend some time popping them off.
That's fun to me.
Can
Yeah.
you, do the organics work? If my
Yeah,
garden
they
is
do.
being eaten, can I literally go in there and do
You
something?
can. Yep,
Yeah.
they work.
They
But
work.
start early. Don't wait till they're 3 inches big, and then you're not gonna kill them.
True. Did I get 3 inches big?
Yeah.
Ride 'em
Well,
out of
that
town.
was just for praying mantis.
Peppers.
You can actually buy eggs for a praying mantis and let it go in your garden
Oh,
and
yeah.
eat a lot of
What are
these
they
bugs.
called? What is it when you raise the good bugs to eat the bad bugs? What are those things
ladybugs.
called?
Aren't
So-
ladybugs good too?
also. Ladybugs
So to
also.
you 800 people that we didn't get to, sign up, come on back.
That's on. One more from Kelly.
One more.
What are you gonna do for the next 4 minutes? What is the cost difference in renovating a home, i.e. a Little Cape, by putting on a 2-story addition, change footprint, or by opening up the entire second story, change roof? Is one monumentally more expensive for similar square footage? What? What is the cost difference in renovating a home?
Between going out with a foundation or going just straight up
It's
over
always
the
cheaper to go on the existing footprint because you don't have to excavate, you don't have to add a foundation or a
the landscape
crawl space.
cost, yeah.
So if you can go up, it's why they build high rises on this, on that multi-level platform, so you can make a ranch a colonial. It's gonna make a big difference, price-wise.
Yeah.
So in the stay within the footprint though, they've gotta open up that entire roof. Does
Yeah.
that get them into crazy expense?
No, I mean, it's gonna, yeah, it can be expensive, but
I mean,
it's
crazy,
cheap.
crazy more expensive than actually doing the addition off to the side.
Well, they have to build, they have to excavate and build some type of a footing base, a foundation base, so they can then add to the existing. If you already have a foundation and the walls, you remove that angled roof.
Peel the roof off
And you
and
just
go.
put a wall and a roof. There are companies that have gone to the fact, if you build the same exact dimension on the first floor as the second floor, you could have somebody come in and crane the roof up if it's structurally strong enough. Lift the roof right off, peel it off, build your 4 walls and drop it right back on. Again, it depends on the size of the house, how it's structured, and how the roof is structured to be able to do that, not in all, you can't do it in all situations.
All right, well, to Richard's point, to the 687 of you that we didn't get to, we apologize. But we're gonna be back for Insiders on June 9th with Roger picking peppers, and on June 24th with Tommy talking roofs, and then we'll be doing another one a couple weeks after that with Richard, and again and again and again. For Insiders, you get the benefit of the big brains of these guys, your questions answered. You get the shirt off of Mr. Silva's back, same one that his crew is using, as well as people now all over the country for inspiration. Archives of the television shows This Old House and Ask This Old House, as well as the archives from the magazine. So membership has its privileges for all of you,
now, join
insider
now.
or not. We appreciate you guys checking this thing out. We're coming to you from the Newton Project. That's the next one that you're going to be seeing on PBS in October. But this week, you are going to see the finale of Detroit for This Old House. Check it out. An unbelievable project. Wait to see the transformation.
Huge
Huge
transformation.
transformation. And then you'll see the finale for Ask This Old House, where the boys go to
From
Hawaii
Hawaii.
to hang out on the beach.
Where were you again?
War Road, Minnesota. 80% of Canadians. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Television show today. Thank you for being insiders. If you're not one already, consider it. We will see you next time. Signing off.
Peace out.